and Scott Collegiate, as well as attending First Nation University of Canada and Fraser Valley College in British Columbia. Throughout my 22 years being an Indigenous inclusion expert, I have been described as driven, focused, and engaged. But the road that I have traveled was not easy. I had overcame poverty, addiction, and homelessness. I thank our Indigenous culture for that because the teachings from the elders resonated with me as I grew stronger as every day passed. Today, I am the interim chair of the Regina Home Community Advisory Board as I believe in putting an end to Regina homelessness. This election, I hear many candidates talk about the poverty issue, addiction, mental health, suicide, truth and reconciliation, but how many of them truly experience the rock bottom of these issues? I know I have, and I overcame it. A true testament of perseverance, dedication, sacrifice, and commitment, something Ward 3 needs and wants. My platform was created by speaking with people in different parts of Ward 3, North Central, Cathedral, and downtown. I also know one issue in one area does not mean that issue will be the same in the other areas of Ward 3. I wanted to know what issue deeply concerns them. And although there are many, but the top ones that stick to me are addictions in North Central, heritage in Cathedral, and parking in downtown. I always believe that a person with the right attitude and experience can always overcome challenges. I'm one of those people that can work well with others and get them to work alongside me. I have 3 landmark initiatives in my 22 years career that can prove that. I have seen Regina challenging neighborhoods change over the last 50 years. First, it was downtown in the 60s and 70s, Cathedral in the 80s and 90s, to North Central in 2000. If we do not put an end to this cycle, I see the cycle moving east of Ward 3. If you want serious change and a person of action, vote Elmer Eashappie on November the 9th.
Excellent. Thank you, Elmer. Oh, hey. There. Don't want my alarm to go off. Thank you very much, sir. All right. Our next speaker tonight is Tom Dacosta Seeley. You have 5 minutes, sir. Did I say 5? 5.
Yes, good evening. My name is Tom Dacosta Seeley, well known in the city as Tom. I've been in the city for over 50 years. I've been self-employed in the city as a business consultant, financial consultant, also in the clergy business. I believe that being part of a team of Regina, being elected to a team of Regina, I believe that teams are win, sometimes we cannot win. My objective and my focus for the city, I've seen it grown since I've came here in the 60s, but I've also seen it dive in the deeper zone few years. Our downtown is my main concern. I believe that employment is something that we should really focus on. And downtown has become a very place where nobody wants to go after 5 p.m. So my objective is, we have a lot of empty lands and a lot of buildings that are closed and boarded up in the downtown city. It's a very negative vibe on the city of Regina, a booming city. We have a lot of potential here. We have a lot of people who have immigrated here and have the desire to build this city. So my intention is to try to get more businesses come back into the downtown area and take some of these lands that we have that are empty and put buildings on them for businesses. And also we can take some of this land and build for homeless. I watch and listen to politicians for years talking about homelessness. If you've never been homelessness, you don't have a clue what it's like. And I was there. So my intention is that rather than let it go for years and years, that we should look at some buildings that are boarded up in the downtown or even in the area that's just north of the downtown and look at homing some of these people that are homeless. But first, we've got to find out how many people are homeless in the city of Regina. So that's one of my biggest concern. My other concern is the transit city the transit in the downtown of Regina. It's very dangerous. If you go down there at a certain time of the day, between the buses and the cars and the pedestrians, it's very dangerous for anybody to be in the downtown area. So I'd like to look at moving the buses from the downtown and taking them over to Taylor Field and building a bus stand there. And number one, it'll make it much more easier for people to get around. And I believe that it'll also improve the transit system, which may cause people to use transit instead of having to drive their car downtown. And number two, there's no parking downtown anyway. So this would ease up some of the parking for the businesses in the downtown area. So that's one of my main concerns of the city of downtown. Seniors have spoken to me quite a bit in the last few weeks, and some of them living in senior complex are very scared because a lot of times they get hassled by people that shouldn't even be living in the senior complex, visitors who's coming in. So that's something that I would hope that we can work on, and protection for our seniors in our city. And also for North Central. Many years ago, a friend of mine had a store there, and I used to go and visit him quite a bit. And I believe that there's a big development happening in North Central. So if I can gather some First Nation business people together, we can develop North Central into a place that everybody would want to go and shop. I believe that they're very intelligent people, but they have no opportunity, because sometimes if you don't give somebody an opportunity to do anything, they wouldn't do it. And I believe North Central can become a place that would be enjoyable, you can drive into, and there'd be small businesses, mom and pop stores, whatever can go in there in order to improve the situation. And for the city of Regina, I believe that Regina can be number one in Western Canada, if not in all of Canada, but we have to work as a team. I was involved in many sports, and I was always say that as a team, we have to win. My desire also to have the youth to get involved. Sometimes we leave the youth out, and we have to get them involved, find out what their problem is before we can go forward. And my last is to have back the beat cops in downtown Regina. If you're going to build Regina in the downtown, you need cops on the beat. So I ask you to vote because that's my focus is to make Regina number one. Thank you very much. I'm in Ward 3. Bless you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Tom. All right. And our next speaker tonight is, oh, where'd you go? There we are. Nahida Chowdhuary. Hey, Nahida.
Hi.
Yeah, so you have 5 minutes to introduce yourself to the forum.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Nahida Chowdhuary. I'm running for Ward 3 City Councillor. We know this is hardest time for everyone, our wealth and health safety and tough of mind. We also know our community are suffering, and we want help, and we want to help them. We want to work together for our community to develop our life and standard our life. As a city councillor from Ward 3, I walk around and talk to people, and people asking a lot of questions, and I had a lot of experience for this, they asking for our back alley need to clean up, and then about they want kids need to be out of street, so a lot of questions in my mind when people talk to me. I used to work school board as a substitute teacher. As 6 years I worked, so I whatever see the neighborhood I always feel for youth generation need a lot of help here, especially North Central area. There are a lot of I feel they need how can I help them. So as a counselor, I figure out if I build a big uh, creative learning center for youth generation. And I work health district, and I see a lot of seniors suffering. So I feel if I help them, how can I help them? So I feel if I open a big um, creative learning center with a recreation center, so from senior to young generation can learn a lot of things. So if there is a indoor greenhouse and indoor skate place, and then cooking, and then crafting, lot of cutting, sewing, pattern making, uh, and a lot of creative things. If activities, if young generation get it and senior can help them, so both of can have a learn each other from how to respect each other and helping each other and bonding. It will grow big bonding together. So it's my future plan, but right now I got it 3 questions, but I just feel right now we our safety is first. We don't need to spend any money for anywhere. No blowing money for building and a new project or making anything new. We have to save all money and then helping who are low income, who don't have a job, who can afford food, and we need to cut our taxes. So can people like a house taxes? So can people get a low rent? So people can at least not a homeless. So and then yeah, this kind of things I'm thinking, and then sorry, and then I forget there's a video. I'm just thinking what is my heart. I'm just telling that. Yeah, so I want to help young and senior people, and everybody need to be stay safe, because for COVID, everyone is suffering. So those are the first issue for me. And then, yeah, transit safety also important. So I want some we all together get some help from free safety downtown, and safety transit. And yeah, I want everyone stay safe. Right now it's COVID. For COVID, our life is very challenging. Yeah, so we need green Regina, and we need to a lot of um,
Okay,
yeah,
I'm sorry,
great
Nahida,
power.
that is time.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah.
excuse me. Okay, well, thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
And now, just 1 second here. So for anybody who's come in late, just an update, Councillor Stevens is in a council meeting right now. It is the last council meeting for this council. And he says that there are many important motions that he cannot step away. Normally these meetings end at 6. Tonight's meeting is going all night, or very late anyways. So he has sent his introductory remarks and his answers to our questions. And Karen, who has just turned on her camera, is going to be our ersatz Andrew Stevens for tonight. So she will be reading his opening remarks.
So as the ersatz Andrew Stevens, so oh,
yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me all? Okay, I'm going to read Andrew Stevens' statement exactly as written. It starts, good evening, everyone. Thank you to the Community Association Executive and volunteers for hosting tonight's event. My platform is premised on 6 simple principles: a people-focused COVID recovery, a responsive and accountable council, a green Regina, fixing our infrastructure, fair taxation, and a Regina for everyone. The first is arguably the most important: a people-focused COVID recovery. We know that COVID has created hardships for many residents and has resulted in a serious financial shortfall for the municipality. This means a tax and expenditure strategy that focuses on people, not just the bottom line. Through existing municipal organizations like Economic Development Regina, we need a council that's committed to a long-term economic development strategy as a means of keeping our communities and our neighborhoods vibrant. Second, a responsive and accountable council. Municipal government is the most accessible form of government in Canada. Let's keep it that way. In the last 4 years, I've been available to residents by phone, email, through social media, and in person through town halls and coffee shop conversations. Decisions I make at council are driven by principles and feedback from the community. Third, a green Regina. Making Regina sustainable should guide all our planning, transportation, and utility decisions. Council's commitment to make the city of Regina 100% renewable by 2050 is an ambitious plan that will take strong leadership in the years ahead. This means focusing on the economic, social, and environmental benefits associated with building a sustainable city, from tax incentives to electrifying our public transit fleet. It also means ensuring the sustainability of our urban forest as we work towards the objective of 1 tree for every Regina resident. Fourth, fixing our infrastructure. This means more than just filling potholes and rebuilding roads. Many of our recreation facilities and amenities are crumbling and require significant investments in order to ensure that Regina remains an appealing, livable community. Council also needs to commit to making Regina more walkable and accessible for all. That means clearing snow from sidewalks, ensuring drains are cleared of debris, and extending our bike infrastructure and promptly repairing pathways and walkways due to erosion and construction. It also means paying attention to what's underground, like replacing lead pipes and maintaining our water and sewer infrastructure. Fifth, fair taxation. No one likes to pay taxes, but it's how cities pay for services and infrastructure. A fair taxation policy means finding ways of improving service delivery while controlling costs. We also need to examine the balance between residential and commercial taxes as a proportion of revenue. We also need to advocate for changes to provincial taxing policies, like allowing a hotel tax to help Regina draw revenue from major events in publicly funded facilities, such as Mosaic Stadium. Finding opportunities to move away from current regressive property tax model is important. Finally, a Regina for everyone. After years of hard work, Council approved a plan to end homelessness. Unfortunately, no money was committed to seeing this plan through, despite many efforts at the Council table. That needs to change. If there's millions of dollars on the table for developers, we need to ensure that money exists for residents seeking safe, affordable shelter. We must stay true to our commitment to truth and reconciliation. We also need to ensure that all businesses doing work for the city pay a living wage, and that the city is a good and inclusive employer, and that racism has no place in the policing practices or on our communities. Council must also champion the work of Age-Friendly Regina, which has developed ideas for youth and seniors to be full participants in our community. We also need to make Regina more accessible for residents, and that means improving how we deliver services and build infrastructure in a way that's sensitive to people with disabilities. A people-focused Regina means changing how we spend, plan, and build our communities. Looking at the campaign material of the candidates before you, it's refreshing to see a progressive platform amongst all of us.
All right, that's time. Thank you very much. Okay, hang on, I'm gonna spotlight myself. Okay, so that is opening statements from all of our candidates. Thank you, everybody. Now, the Community Association, as I mentioned before, for the latecomers, the Community Association's forum subcommittee had a short list of questions, selected two. The first question is kind of cathedral focused, focused on issues that have come up in the cathedral neighborhood. The other one is of a little bit more general interest. And these questions were given to the candidates in advance so they could prepare their answers. And Andrew Stevens has provided his answers for those questions as well. So we're going to go through the same order of speakers again, and each person will get 3 minutes to answer their questions. So the first speaker will be Elmer Eashappie, then Tom Dacosta Seeley, then Nahida Chowdhuary, and then Erzatz Andrew Stevens. The first question is, Cathedral has lost many heritage homes and buildings over the years. There is a concern that this threatens the character of our community. How would you address this concern? So first speaker on that is Mr. Eashappie.
Thank you. That's a very good question. I believe in the importance of not only preserving heritage, but protecting it. If you want to think about what happens when heritage and tradition are lost, look to your neighbors to the north across the tracks in North Central. Their cultural heritage has been eroded over time. So as elected, I would not only champion that because I believe in heritage, but I also believe that the values to protect the heritage, I will do what it takes to make that happen.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Eashappie. Tom, you are up next.
Yes, heritage is a very important part of most cities. It's the beauty of the city or the beauty of the area. And I believe sometimes we break buildings down to build new ones. And then lots of times the new generation comes along, don't even know what was there before. But I believe we should look at maintaining the beauty of cathedral area because of these older buildings. As long as they're able to sustain the ability to house someone or to have would enjoy when they drive by. So my objective would be to maintain those that are able, that can be sustainable, and those obviously that cannot be would probably destroy. But I believe that the older buildings and the character of heritage is the beauty of the area that it's in. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Tom. All right, next speaker is Nahida Chowdhuary on the question of heritage homes.
Hi. Yeah, I think heritage is a beauty of the city, and we should maintain and take care of our heritage. And this is the best road in this city, because personally I did a lot of trade show. I'm fashion designer too, so I sell my clothes over there. I did a lot of trade show, and when like exhibition time, people walking around, and it's too crowd. Lot of people come, and it feels so like I'm people oriented. I love people, and I feel so good. Like see a lot of people is watching. Like it's a big building, big building, and like a church and castle, like a old heritage over there. So I really love it. I really love the 13th Avenue Cathedral Village. Is for me, it's like a New Orleans, where traveler go for like take a picture and keep the like memory for forever. So yeah, I really appreciate if we can take care this cathedral village. Yes, thanks.
All right. Thank you very much, Nahida.
Yeah.
And next up is Karen reading Andrew Stevens's comments that he submitted to us earlier, and he will, Andrew Stevens will also have 3 minutes. So just one moment here, and you may go.
There are a couple of ways to address this. Since 2016, the city has reviewed and made more robust its heritage policies. This meant the creation of a heritage inventory list and the maintenance of incentives like the property tax abatement. On paper, Regina actually has meaningful policies when compared to other jurisdictions. These policies, however, apply to properties that have actual heritage significance and not necessarily older commercial and residential buildings. Second, when council has been confronted by requests to demolish properties in the inventory, we've weighed the significance of the properties and voted against efforts to destroy the properties. I'm thinking of the Cook and Bagshaw residences here. In the latter instance, the Bagshaw decision was accompanied by a resolution to create a heritage overlay which, when established, would pave the way for architectural standards for the crescents. Going forward, there's a lot of work to be done. Administration has been tasked to consider architectural guidelines during the neighborhood review process in Cathedral. But this isn't an apple pie issue, and aesthetics is difficult to regulate. In established neighborhoods like Cathedral, Lakeview, Heritage, and North Central, decades of home building and renewal has meant that the neighborhoods are dotted with diverse housing types. I'm not sure that's a problem, and to that point, legislating aesthetics is difficult, and there won't be a consensus in the community as to what is a desirable housing type. Public engagement is going to be a key. One way or another, this should hopefully bring some resolution to the issue. The most important thing is to have clear and unequivocal policies for residents and developers alike.
Yep. All right. Okay, that's the end of our first question. Thank you very much. I'll read the second question, but I just wanted to remind everybody who's in the gallery here, when this question is done, we will be reading questions that you have submitted, and the candidates will each have 2 minutes to respond to the questions that come in. We only have one question so far, so please put your questions in the chat window. You can just put them out to everyone, but you might want to put like question as the first thing so we can spot it easily. If you're unfamiliar with Zoom, if you move your cursor over top of the window, there's at the bottom, there's a strip of options and there's one that says chat, and you click on chat, and then on the right-hand side or in a pop-up window, there will be a chat window where you can read what we've been saying in there and read other people's questions. And then there's a box at the bottom in which you can type your question. And yeah, so please submit your questions. As I said at the top of the meeting, we will read them roughly in the order that we receive them, although it can get a little chaotic in there. And we will try not to have any repeat questions or like repeat topics. And if one person is sending multiple questions, we're going to try and get through, we want everybody to get at least a question in before we start getting to other people's second or third questions. Okay, the next question for our candidates is, and this is again from the Cathedral Area Community Association. The COVID pandemic has had wide-ranging impacts on communities. Community associations have been restricted in how they can provide programs and services. Local businesses have been closed for long stretches or are limited in how they can serve their customers? What kinds of supports will you advocate for to support communities through the COVID pandemic and the recovery? Our first speaker on this is Mr. Elmer Eashappie.
Thank you. That's a very good question. I believe City Council needs to support small business owners. I propose that City Council provides them with a 5-year tax breaks to keep their doors open to people and the people they employ. Community-based organizations, otherwise known as CBOs, have been working through this pandemic. I would propose CBOs pay a reduced amount on their property tax, and also that the city provides grant money for organizations that are at risk of closing or cutting programs to increase costs for COVID-19. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Tom Dacosta, Sealy. You play Spotlight. And...
Yes, COVID had hit everybody pretty hard throughout the last 6 months or so, but I believe that the city should be able to give a 2-year tax break on all businesses within the city limit. And also churches for many years has been out there to help their community. And I know churches are hurting themselves, but some of them should be able to go out and help those that are in need of food and shelter and clothing. People could donate stuff to them and they can help those that are in need, because what's going to happen is that it's the poor of the city, those that make minimum wage and some who is not even working. Those are the ones that's going to suffer most. Those are the ones who's going to need the help. And I believe that churches and organizations should be able to help those people. We should also look to the federal government and the provincial government to increase some funding specifically for those that are in need through organizations like the Red Cross, etc. So I believe that things can be done if we just do it as a team. I always say if you're a team together, then things will be achieved much faster. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And our next speaker on the question of COVID relief is Nahida Chowdhuary.
Yes. Right. We have to do a lot of we have to grow a lot of home business, and we have to do a lot of home business, and we have to start shop local, and after that we have to start fundraising and help the homeless, very low income, who who doesn't have enough. We have to help charity fundraising. That's the way. And then other than build a lot of small business, home business, and then I feel that's the way. And from low tax from this business, so then people can and then a lot of marketing for local shop, so then all people can survive, because in Regina doesn't have enough job, so people suffering. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Nahida. All right, and our final speaker is Erzatz Andrew Stevens, because Mr. Stevens could not come here tonight, so Karen. 3 minutes.
Well, when it comes to business supports, Council approved a grant program that provides a modest amount of funding for community organizations and conventional businesses alike. The criteria is needs, and impact-based. A review of the first phase of this program is due in 2021. That will give Council an opportunity to assess the strengths and limitations of the initiative. There's room here to help organizations adapt and spearhead new ways of delivering services to customers and residents. Some businesses are thriving while others are not. When it comes to community supports generally, the city took on an important role in working with CBOs and community members who are delivering services to vulnerable residents. That means coordinating a homelessness strategy, meal programs, and the like. This work needs to continue and to expand. We need to look at unique ways to deliver recreational programming as well. Right now, we're working on crafting a winter city strategy that does just that. It also means actually funding the plan to end homelessness and putting pressure on the province to do the same. We might also need to increase the community investment grants and funding for community associations and groups that are delivering important services to residents. In short, I'll continue to advocate for these and other initiatives during the budget and over the course of the next 4 years.
Okay. Oh, wait, I pushed the wrong button. All right, thank you very much. Okay, that's it for the pre-prepared questions. I'm now going to be taking questions from the chat window. We have 3 questions from the chat window, one I believe from a text message. But yeah, please send us your questions to the chat window so that we can ask them. According to our agenda, answers to these questions should be about 2 minutes long. I'll be keeping time again, and we'll continue with the order. All right, I'll just read the first one. Or do you want to?
You read it?
Okay.
I have it. Yeah.
Okay, the first question is from Florence. And it goes, Regina has a plan to end homelessness released in 2019. According to the plan, 2,200 people are homeless in Regina. When the plan came before council in March 2020, council voted for Regina not to put any money into the plan, but to leave all the funding to the province and the federal government. Would you vote for Regina to put money into the plan and thus set an example for the provincial and federal governments? Okay, first, and to the candidates, if you want to refer to the question, it's the question from Florence in the chat window. So our first speaker on that is Mr. Eashappie.
Thank you. The answer to that question would be yes. Bottom line. Me being homeless at one time in my life, I understand that the need wasn't there. The organizations weren't there to help me. But now that we actually have a Regina homelessness plan, we do need the support of the federal, provincial, and especially the city of Regina. Everybody needs to do their part to end homeless. We can all talk a good game all we want, but at the end of the day, is what are we going to do about it? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Tom Dacosta Seeley.
Yes, we have a plan. So instead of just having a plan sitting, why don't we just work on it? I believe that there's a lot of empty buildings in the city of Regina, and we don't have to do any more studies or make no plans over the next year or so. We just look for empty building. We get the funding from the provincial government and the federal government, but we got to start it on our own first. We can't just talk about it. Get these buildings fit up now that we know we have a number. That was my main thing. We have a number of them, how many people homeless. So all we needed to get a building, fix it up, and we may have to have what we call a house person to look after that building, because homeless, not everybody that's homeless have rules, they have their own rules. So we have to have somebody who will be able to supervise those until they get back on their feet. So we don't have to do any studies. If the money is there, we start and we get the money from the federal government and provincial government, within a year or so, we can have that all put together. And whoever is homeless and want to have a place to live, it'll be there for them. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Nahida Chowdhuary. Nahida, you got 2 minutes.
Hi. Actually, like I am in, I'm supporting like same thing. Like we have a lot of empty building in the close to the not central area. I see by myself a lot of empty house, like government house is nobody here and it's useless. So I think we should use for homeless people for this house. Those need to be fixed and then let them to stay. So like we have and also I feel like we have to cut our house tax so homeowner can give low rent to like homeless people. So yeah, if 2019 had any plan for like the homeless to in it to is it need to done. Actually, I'm not familiar in Zoom. This is first time I'm doing, so I'm very like um, anyway nervous anyway. So yeah, I think like use government empty house and then cut the taxes for home, so then people can give low rent. People can get a low rent because homeowner can give low rent. Otherwise if they give high tax, how can they give low rent? So how can that's the reason like a lot of homeless. So we need to work all together, solve this issue. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, our next question in the chat window is from Larry. What will you do about boarded up and not in use houses in North Central? What is your plan to make the best use of these homes? First speaker, Elmer Eashappie. You have 2 minutes.
Great, thank you. Well, my personal thoughts is yes, there is a lot of abandoned houses in North Central. I've seen quite a few myself. To answer the question, what would I do in regards to boarded up and not in use houses in North Central? Well, there's a couple options. First one is you can turn it into housing to help with the homeless, or you can turn it into community garden. Community gardens are starting to be a rise throughout Saskatchewan and Canada. And future food, community food sustainability, to me, is going to be the way of the future. Not only that I help feed the community, but I also teach people and the organizations and community groups to be responsible, but at the same time, to help care for their community. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Next speaker is Tom Dacosta Seeley.
Yes, these boarded up houses are actually potential for, from my point of view, First Nation who would like to learn a trade. A lot of these houses can be fixed up. And First Nation that goes on to have trades in plumbing, carpentry, etc. These would be ideal situation for them to go and fix these houses up and then have them as rental properties, either for an owner or for themselves or for somebody else from the First Nation development. But first work with them to find out what their desire is, because some of these homes are still able to supply homes for people. So therefore, instead of tearing them down, I think the city should look at helping the First Nation people to maybe look at fixing some of these houses up, and they also teach them a trade of carpentry and construction. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, it is Nahida Chowdhuary.
Hi, I think, yes, I think First Nation people can like use for this all, they can fix like this kind of home, and they can use for living, and or they can rent it out, or there is a lot of creative learning center, like until not building the news anything, so we can use them, those, if those area they are live, so they are priority first, so they can start building a lot of learning facilities, learning activities in this all house. They can use for all creative learning too. Yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Nahida.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, our next question from the chat window. This came in as a direct message. Karen has posted it. It is, and I'm unmuted. I am a committed cyclist, but Regina's bike infrastructure is lacking and far behind other cities. What would you do to improve bike infrastructure? First speaker is Elmer Eashappie.
Thank you. Well, the answer is very simple. Obviously, there's a template out there, but it's falling on deaf ears in South Regina. If I'm elected, I would actually find those templates and see what works and see what doesn't work. It's that simple. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, it is Tom Dacosta Sealy.
Because of the green movement right now, I believe that what we should be looking at is see what's working in other cities, and instead of trying to invent something of our own, because we do have some bike lanes right now, but sometimes they're not very safe and we are very small. So we also got to think about that too. But look at what's happening in other cities, and what works for them that we can put in place here. That's what we should do, instead of trying to invent something that maybe never worked for us, because our streets are very small and we got too many one-way streets in the city of Regina. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Next up, it is Nahida Chowdhuary.
Hi, I think we have already bike place, so like like it's not safe, like if biking in the there's, our street is so small, so if there is a biking system in this street, it's not safe. So I think that's okay if we don't have in a street. Yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, our next question is from Michael. And he asks the candidates, what is your position in allowing permanent residents the right to vote in municipal elections? Our first speaker on that is Elmer Eashappie. Sorry, there we go.
Thank you. Question, what is our position as candidates in allowing permanent residents the right to vote in municipal election? Well, if you live here, then you have the right to vote. It's that simple. Thank you.
Okay, next speaker on this subject is Tom Dacosta.
If you live in the city for a period of time and want this to be your home eventually, I have no reason to say that you shouldn't, because it's part of where you live, and you want to make sure that you're able to help those that maybe come after you, maybe to stay in the city of Regina, because we need more people here in order to help our tax base. So I have no problem with it. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Nahida Chowdhuary.
Yes, I'm agree too. Like I see a lot of my friends can give vote because they are not a citizen, they are a permanent resident. So, but they are very willingly interested to give vote. So I feel like everybody who are permanent resident, they should give vote, because they it's feel them they are like a they are like they love more this country than, like when the people give vote, they feel my right is giving vote to people and find the right person, and I love Canada. I feel that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Our next question is from Brad, and it goes, municipal costs continue to rise. Cities are also left to manage many of the priorities that we put forward. Priorities include homelessness, green infrastructure, etc. And the province and federal government refuse to address these. What would be your plan to help raise funds or manage existing funds to support these much needed programs? So our first speaker on this is Elmer Eashappie.
Thank you. My answer is simple. I would find out, fact-finding, get the information, and then cross-reference it to what the needs are and sit down with the appropriate groups. Because we're not really knowing privileged information kind of puts us in a position of not really knowing what kind of answer we can provide. So with that, have said that, again, I would cross-reference that information, find out what works and what doesn't work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, Tom Dacosta, please.
Sometimes we make a lot of promises and hope to fulfill them, which never comes true. But I'm a big believer that small businesses is the key to any city. 69% of all employment is by small mom and pop stores. And if we can get small businesses and sustain them within our city, I think we have a tax base of the employee. And, you know, and that's something we have to look at, not just look to the federal government, the provincial government. We've got to learn to look after ourselves. And small business is the key to the success of every city. Thank you.
Okay, and next up, Nahida Chowdhuary.
Sorry, I missed the questions. I was.
Oh, I can totally read it again for you.
Yeah.
Municipal costs continue to rise. Cities are also left to manage many of the priorities that we put forward, and the province and federal government refuse to address them. What would be your plan to help raise funds or manage existing funds to support these much needed programs? And Brad adds that the kinds of priorities he's thinking about are homelessness, green infrastructure, etc.
Yeah, I'm agree with that. I'm agree with like mm, raising money and supporting homeless and uh, addiction and whoever need help. Yeah, we need to do that. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much. Our next question is from Larry, and his question goes, what is your plan for climate action for our city? Will you support our city taking an aggressive approach to go 100% renewable by 2030? First speaker on that question is Elmer Eashappie.
Yes, I will take an aggressive approach. Why? My people have always been environmentalists. We believe in living in balance with Mother Earth. Some of our tradition people believe we need to go back to the old ways of living prior to contact. But I'm not sure if society is ready for that conversation yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Tom Dacosta Seeley.
Yeah, climate change is always going to be with us as long as there's an earth, I imagine. There's a lot of things that we can do in order to help reduce the earth atmosphere. Like right now we're doing things like recycling and stuff like that. We have good time, especially with COVID. Nobody knows what's going to happen the next 2, 3, 5 years from now as far as our economy. So right now, the most important part I think we should be looking at is make sure that people are employed, because it doesn't matter what you do with climate change and people are not working, they're not going to be able to afford grocery or anything like that. Although climate change is important, I believe right now our important part is to keep people safe and look at small businesses employing people. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up is Nahida Chowdhuary.
Yeah, I believe first people safety, because it's a COVID, so like climate change all the time, a lot of things happening, a lot of questions coming everywhere. But first we have to focus our COVID, and people safety is the first. Yeah, build more new business, and then shop local business. So people need to start work, make money, and live first for their safety. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have one more question, and I will spotlight myself. Okay, and this one is from Florence. The city of Regina spends vast amounts on policing. The 2020 budget allocated $96 million to the Regina Police Service, $3.6 million more than in 2019, and over 20% of the city budget. What would you do about the ever-ballooning RPS budget? Do you think some of the money currently going to the Regina Police Service might be better spent elsewhere? First speaker is Elmer Eashappie.
Thank you. Yes, City of Regina, Regina Police Service budget is probably the second biggest budget item. So I've said that if you look at what the police service does in the community and what the numbers of the crime, all the social, social issues that we're incurring, to me, you have to cross-reference it. You have to look at both sides. So is there something lacking in the Regina Police Service? Probably is. Do I think we need help in fighting mental illness? Absolutely. But part of that question also asks the thoughts about you think some of the money could currently go to the RPS might be better spent elsewhere? Yes and no. I don't have the privileged information to answer that fully, but I would look at the information and find out what works, what doesn't work. I always go back to, you got to cross-reference check information to see what historically worked and what didn't work, and then relook at the budget and see what the needs are in the community if it fits. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up, it is Tom Dacosta Seeley.
Yeah, we have to have a look at where the money is being spent. I believe that, and policing today really has to change because of the type of groups we have living in different cities. And in the city of Regina, I think the police department could divide, like as I said earlier, we should have, I believe in cops on the beat on a regular basis. When I first came here in the 60s, that was very standard. Now you hardly see it anymore. That's number one. And number two, I think the money can be divided into having different committees within the city police department dealing with mental health and troubled youth, and have committees that can go out and help our troubled youth and the mental health and the seniors. And I think that's very important because seniors right now is being scammed all over, and nobody seems to be there to help them. So the police department, although they may have this divided up into different committees to help the community in certain ways. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Nahida Chowdhuary.
Hello. I need. I think for youth and seniors need more help for their mental health and for youth growth. So I need. I think for all, if we need to invest, all need to invest for. All need to be focused for youth and seniors, because I work health district and I see a lot of seniors suffering what they do, watching TV and then nothing to do in winter time, so they get sick sitting on the couch, and then so I feel we need a recreation center, so there's an indoor greenhouse, indoor like a big facility where they can teach like a youth where youth get privileged for learning from the seniors, so seniors can teach lot in our community to help the youth, and then youth can involve with them. So yes, they need to indoor greenhouse, cooking, crafting, and then drawing and pattern cutting, sewing, block print, embroidery, lot of activities, knitting, quilting, lot of things can people learn. Even kids can do indoor skate, skate skateboard play, so and a lot of activities youth can do, so youth not can stay in the street, that they always be supervision with seniors and youth, they will have a good bonding. So we should, if we need to invest, we need to invest this project like a big recreation indoor big recreation center. uh, Otherwise, my focus is right now all money.
I'm sorry.
All
You've hit your
money.
time. Can you wrap it up, please? Thanks.
Sorry.
Oh, it's just you're out of time.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. But the forum is not quite out of time, so maybe everybody 2 minutes for closing statements. There was a paragraph of Andrew Stevens's opening statement. that Karen didn't finish reading. So would you guys be up for closing statements just to round out the meeting? Okay, excellent. Elmer Eashappie, please. To close.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank you guys for hosting this forum tonight. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank the other candidates for speaking and for taking the time to run for Ward 3. I guess we all have an interest in running. But I want to say this. If I'm elected, I want to do a communication strategy in a sense of a business format. So the community residents are the shareholders, and the Ward 3 councillor would be the CEO. In a business format structure, the CEO would provide quarterly reports, and that's what I would do if elected. Because one of the big things I heard in the community, councillors, they don't see them after election. That's a big issue. Me personally, I'm a community guy. I like to help out. I like to talk with people. But at the same time, the city, the TRC having Indigenous voice at the decision-making tables, the people of Cathedral have their choice to encourage Indigenous inclusion and city council this election. Thank you for support, and thank you for tonight's event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tom Dacosta Sealy with 2 minutes to close.
Yeah, I want to thank the host first and thanks the candidate. And councillor, my intention is to do what you want me to do for your city and also for Ward 3. I being elected as a candidate and as a councillor for Ward 3, but I'm also working for the city. And I personally would like to see at least once a year or twice a year, some type of a town hall from all city councillors for the complete city so that people can phone in and talk about the problems that they're having. And then whatever problems we can solve at that time, we'll be able to do that. So town hall once or twice a year will be ideal for this Regina and all the councillors and even the mayor. Thank you very much and God bless you. And just vote for Tom.
Thank you. All right. And next up is Nahida Chowdhuary. To close, you have 2 minutes.
Hello. If I am selected, then I will focus for youth and senior and safe who are COVID affected, who are COVID affected, low income people, like everyone need to be safe. Yeah, my focus is everyone need to be safe and healthy, mostly youth and senior people and disabled people. Yeah, that's my concern. Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. And finally, we have a final statement from Councillor Andrew Stevens, read by Erzatz Andrew Stevens. Oh, go.
Looking at the campaign material of the candidates before you, it's refreshing to see a progressive voice platform amongst all of us. So the challenge for you tonight is to figure out 3 things. Who is the most sincere with their commitment to being that progressive voice? Who is the most committed to advancing a social justice platform that focuses on housing, public transportation, heritage, public safety, and building complete communities? And most importantly, who is the most capable of getting things done on council? I believe that my last 4 years have demonstrated an ability to advance this agenda and to build alliances amongst my colleagues and to get things done. This is what I commit to do over the next 4 years as well.
Thank you. All right. Well, that's it for our evening, for our Ward 3 candidate forum in Cathedral. I want to say thank you very, very much to the candidates, everybody who showed up. We really appreciate you being here. We appreciate you taking the time to answer our questions and the questions that came from the Community Association. Thank you to the organizing committee who helped put all this together. Thanks to the fabulous Linda Rattray, who handled the deluge of emails and registrations from people who wanted to participate. Thank you to everybody who showed up to watch this forum online. We know this is not the ideal way to engage in our election, but under the circumstances, it's the best way we have right now, and it's great that you all came. And just a note on the council or the candidates for council. Again, like just personally, thank you. Running for office is an incredibly challenging and difficult thing. It is great that you people were willing to put yourself out there and commit your time and your heart and your soul to trying to make our community better by running for office. It's incredibly important that people do that. So again, thank you to the candidates for coming out and for running for office and making this a lively and entertaining election season. The municipal election is my personal favorite of all the elections that we get in a year. And so it's a treat to have been able to push the buttons to make this forum go. So I'm going to steal a joke from Trish Elliott, who's on the Cathedral Area Community Association board, and say, the meeting is over. Please fold up your chairs and put them away on your way out of the building. But yeah, that's it. I'm going to shut the meeting down in the next few seconds. But thanks a lot for coming, and see you in 4 years, if not sooner.